These are the brand new XPress 2s from Lectric. And in this video, we're going to unpack what's new. And to be honest with you, one of the things that's new is something that proves a point that I was wrong, or maybe just that you guys, the audience, didn't listen to our recommendation. We'll get into that. So we have a commuter and we have a cruiser. Or maybe this is the commuter and this is the cruiser, I'm not sure. So we will delve into what are the differences between these two models. We will see if we can get some opinions of whether people prefer the cruiser or the commuter. And if it's like the last generation, there's actually some finer details of differences between these two models. Lectric loves to make assembly easy. They're claiming a 5-minute assembly on these bikes, so we'll see how easy they are or aren't to assemble. Lectric, stepping up your game even more. Let's get started. We'll start over here. Step 1, open. All right, and we'll lift this up on the top of the box. It's a great day to have a great day. Maybe we can flip that upside down. Love the positive vibes from the company. Lots of cardboard, that's good to see. Step 2 actually is open the sides. Before we reveal what model this is, do me one quick favor. Planning to purchase a Lectric e-bike? I mean, they are America's best-selling e-bike company. Do me a favor and use our link down in the description or scan the QR code on your screen now. It's free and truly makes content like this possible and keeps us reviewing e-bikes, which I love doing. So thank you so much for your support. All right, this is the Step-Thru, or what they're calling the cruiser model. And don't worry, we'll get to what I got wrong about the XPress models in a second, but let's start the timer. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Let's see how quickly we can get this assembled. I don't know if they're talking about 5 minutes actually removing the packaging, so it's pretty easy to rip this off. Okay, we got the accessory box here. We'll open that up in a bit, see what's inside. We are making progress. Love not having zip ties. I'll pause for a second. Lectric being a direct-to-consumer company, they need to make assembly easy so people are more willing to purchase it because it's likely you're going to assemble it yourself. You can take it to a trusted bike shop if you'd prefer. They do have partner bike shops, so keep that in mind. But if you're a little bit handy, it's possible. Just make sure you do the appropriate safety checks, follow their videos online, and you'll be good to go. I'm actually less doubtful of their 5-minute assembly time. We're only 1 minute and 20 seconds in. All right, getting to the first thing that makes the Step-Thru or the cruiser model unique, and that's this adjustable stem. I'll show you how it works in a second. Now, I know one thing that will make this perhaps a 5-minute assembly, or at least help, is the toolkit that we sell at shop.ebikeescape.com. Remember, your purchase also supports the channel. So I'm trying to get these handlebars installed quickly. So we're going to start with this top bolt here. Handlebars go on. Undo the latch so it's a little bit easier because then we can adjust them out of the way. We'll come back to tightening this on, but at least the handlebars are on. Take the packaging off the fork. We're 4 minutes and 15 seconds. This exposing one of the key changes. It's an SR Suntour XCM 32, a name brand suspension fork. And what makes assembly easy is, you'll see in a second, once we get this tire out here, I think we're getting close to the 5 minutes. All right, we just hit 5 minutes. We'll give them some grace period because I'm also filming. Ooh, definitely not going to take 5 minutes when you have to install a fender. But I have to say, Lectric's setup time is far less than almost every single brand. And besides the handlebars and the wheel, there's a third thing that makes assembly easy, which we'll get to in just a second. Okay, pull this cover off. Protector for the disc rotor. Speaking of disc rotor, that's something else that's new, which I'll show you. All right, so here is a Thru Axle, but not only a Thru Axle, it also has a lever on it, and that means it is toolless, which I love. So what's going to happen here, I'm going to pull this out. So to remove the through axle, you actually have to push here. Let me show you that. So push down, that retracts it. This is an interesting through axle. I've never seen anything like this. We'll pull out the spacer here. So lift up the front fork. There we go. It should rest on there a bit. And then install this. Real slick. So open, push and turn. So push this in. Sometimes if you just lift up the fork and wiggle it, it should go in, push in all the way, and wow. Okay, this is cool. I'm glad I'm doing an assembly video because this is completely new. So what happens is when I actually tighten this, you're going to see this tighten down. This is bulletproof. It's dummy proof, if you will. You can't mess this up as long as you get it in place. And there you go, it's tightened on there. It's not going anywhere. I love that change. You don't have to worry about threading it in. So yes, these are new, updated Star Union hydraulic disc brakes. There's what the levers look like. There's motor cutoffs. We'll put the kickstand down. And by the way, if you want to see the full performance test of this bike, me break down all the components, walk through the display, see how it performs on our hill climb test. Make sure you're subscribed so you know when our full video review goes live. Let's install these pedals. No one doing pedals quite this way as Lectric does. These are quick release pedals, which means they're easy to install. So basically, you find your right pedal that's marked, and there's a collar here. And they actually made these even better somewhat recently. So you pull the collar out and you slide it into place, release the collar, and they're locked in. It used to be that you have to line them up. Now it's a little bit easier. Same goes for that left pedal. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Pull out, push in. There we go, locked into place. So I already started digging in the box. We had those pedals. Now they package the display separately so it doesn't get broken in shipment. So we'll install this in a second. We have their large front headlight. I've seen criticisms of this light, but I actually don't think it's that bad. We'll show what it looks like at night on the screen and you can decide for yourself. Okay, Lectric, stepping up your game even more. So I used to have to say, make sure you torque everything to spec. Check the manual. Not anymore. They have this torque wrench, which yes, basic, but when you bend it, you can actually see the torque rating. So you don't need an actual torque wrench. You don't need to necessarily take this to a bike shop to have them torque it down to spec. They're giving you the tool now. That is cool. Taking the extra step to make it actually possible for you to assemble properly a direct-to-consumer electric bike. And then in your replacement parts bag, you still get Allen keys, zip ties, haha. And you get this one, which is important because you need to install the front handlebars. Haven't seen this included from them yet either before. And then to go along with the torque wrench, you have tools to go with that as well. I guess we'll start with this one, with those handlebars. So what needs to happen is you need to lift this up, slide this lever, and then up. And then you need to get down here because this is going to clamp the stem and of course the handlebars by attachment to the front fork. And there's your torque spec right there, 15 Newton meters. And the tool can do up to 35, so we'll spin this around. You can see it's actually bringing the stem down because I didn't have it all the way in. This is where I would normally play the guessing game with torque. Okay, we're at about 6 Newton meters. Going to try to show this with one hand, but you can see as you pull on this, a little bit more, and there's 15 Newton meters. All right, we'll use my tools to get these handlebars straight, and then we'll use the torque wrench to torque it down. It says max of 12 Newton meters. There, it's tight. Don't forget to tighten these, you will be sorry. And then we can just use the small bit here. What I'm looking for is just over 10. There we go, other side. There we go. So if you decide to get the Cruiser, which I personally recommend because that Step-Thru, it's just so much easier to get your leg over. What you're going to get are swept back handlebars, and then you get an adjustable stem, and it's quick release in case people share the bike. Plus it's just easier to adjust from the get-go. So I can raise these pretty high if I want to. Get them centered with the lines here. All right, so we'll raise them up about here. And there you go, you can tell I'm in an upright, comfortable riding position. So that is the Cruiser or the Step-Thru with the swept-back handlebars. Looks like I might have to adjust this bolt as well because these are just a little bit loose even when clamped down. Let's install this display, and yes, this is the new display. This is the 3.5-inch TFT display, which I love, and it has some features that the previous generation just didn't have. So what we'll do is we'll simply slide it into place. There we go, already locked in. Then it's a matching color game. So we have a black and a green here. There's our green. Line up the arrows. All right, and black is actually going to go to the controls. Line up the arrows. There we go. And you can adjust the angle of the screen too. All right, next, let's install that fender. So we'll go here, and we're gonna need our front light here as well. We'll attach the front light similar to that display. Match up the arrows, plug in. Let's push on that front suspension fork. Feels pretty good for a budget e-bike. I want to show you the display, but quick tip if you're unboxing this bike, you need to wake up the battery first, so let's do that. Got the keys, insert on the left side here, turn to the left. It'll come out partially, but then there's a little button. There we go, that's the button right there. So we will hold this button here until we see a light. There we go, all the lights flashed. Now we can put it back in. That's a 14 amp hour battery, by the way. So the power button, there we go. Yes, their new display, so much easier to see and use. And check this out, you can switch between the 3 classes of e-bikes, or if you're in California, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the pedal sensor. Yes, this has a torque or a cadence sensor. You can pick between them. Not sure the difference, that will be a topic of our full review. So we've got a new suspension fork, a new Thru Axle, updated Star Union hydraulic disc brakes, new display, but yes, there's now turn signals as well. And then yes, we need to talk about this motor because yes, this is a quieter motor. Let's see what it sounds like when it's not under load. All right, sounds quieter, but here's the thing. With the original XPress, they used to have 2 different models. The XPress 500 with a 500 watt motor that peaked at 1100 watts, and then the 750 that peaked at 1300 watts. But here's what I got wrong, or actually maybe just how customers responded. I thought that the $999 model with the 500 watt motor was plenty of power. The biggest consideration was that that one came with a 10 amp hour battery, but I also thought that people overbought when it came to range. A 10 amp hour battery was actually sufficient range for most people, or so I thought. But clearly, now with the XPress 2, it's much more simple. You either get the Step-Thru or the High Step, both with 750 watt motors that peak at 1300 watts, both with 14 amp hour batteries, 2 color options for each, so I'm admitting it. I was wrong. People didn't want a $999 XPress. They wanted more power, more battery. Guess I can't blame them. But we still have to unbox the High Step. My GoPro says 45 minutes, so it definitely took a lot less time because I was talking to you. So setup time, 5 minutes? No, but still the easiest direct-to-consumer e-bikes to assemble for sure. Nice job, Lectric, with some of those changes. Let's unbox the High Step. But before I do, remember, check out the link in the description because not only will you support the channel for free, you'll also find out what free accessories Lectric is still including with the XPress 2s. Thank you so much for your support. Let's see what color we got. And don't forget, I'll also put varying height riders on each of these bikes. We'll see what the verdict is. Step-Thru or High Step, cruiser or commuter. All right, looks like we have the Tempest Gray here. Also available in Pine Green, which is a popular color on their XP4. All right, there's a huge difference with these handlebars. Can you tell yet? This time we'll remove the stem cap, but actually we'll need it here on the high step. So check this out, a little bit easier to install the handlebars on the high step. Put that cap back on. Remember, you'll want to torque these down to spec, very important, with the included torque wrench. All right, so clearly these aren't mountain bike handlebars. They have a slight swoop to them, but just know there's less adjustability and you're certainly not going to be in as much of an upright riding position. All right, I said I would get into the nitty gritty. Here's a small change. 3 sets of mounting points on the down tube for the high step, but 2 on the top tube, and they're higher up on the Step-Thru, which is great because then it doesn't impact the Step-Thru, though you do have 2 mounting points here. Perhaps you could put a skinny folding lock there without losing too much of the accessibility. And something I almost missed on these bikes, Lectric didn't even make a big deal about it, but we now have Shimano's 8-speed trigger shifter. That's a change because they used to use the cheapest thumb shifter. So that is definitely an improvement as well. All right, I'm going to finish assembling both of these bikes, making sure they're ready to ride, and we'll see who likes the Step-Thru and we'll see who likes the high step. All right, Al, high step or Step-Thru? What are we going with?
Oh, without a doubt, Step-Thru always.
What would you prefer to ride? With the Step-Thru, more accessibility, or your traditional diamond frame? You can step over them before you decide.
Okay. I think I feel more comfortable on this one.
All right, high step it is.
Okay.
Great. Would you pick the Step-Thru or the high step? And we'll see.
I would pick this.
All right, and how tall are you?
5'11".
5'11".
4'11".
4'11". All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with your...
It fits really well for me.
Yeah. And you can still touch a little bit.
I can touch the ground.
Lowest position, and those handlebars could be customized.
Yep.
Great.
It's very comfortable.
So Step-Thru over the high step.
Over the high step.
I prefer this one, but I'm big and I can easily just step over.
Yeah.
And I like these handlebars.
Not as big of a fan as the Step-Thru.
But yeah, not as big on the Step-Thru, and I don't like the geometry of being so tight.
All right, high step it is. Another one for the high step. So the verdict, we're a little split, but I'm officially team Step-Thru. It's just more comfortable to hop on and off, and since you don't lose an ounce of power compared to the high step, it's a no-brainer for me. But what about you? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you would buy. To really put the Lectric XPress 2 in perspective, I asked Donnie what he thought the price tag was.
I'm gonna guess $16.99.
$16.99, $13.99. In true Lectric fashion, they're packing in a lot more value than you're actually paying for. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and I will see you in the next one.